I am so, so sorry. You are getting me like fresh out of the shower, wet hair, no makeup. Bear with me because I want to go over these next couple of video diaries that I have not watched in forever, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. Meanwhile, I am out here in California right now with a very full itinerary. You're getting my blurred background of my very messy hotel room. And still wanted to make sure that I got this out this weekend. So I'm going to dive into the next couple of video diaries. If for some reason you are new here, what I am doing is I am revisiting my summer sabbatical that I took 4 years ago. And the reason why I'm revisiting is because I've been preaching about it for a really long time, about how much rest and restoration and having a restart and like how restorative it can be. And it was life-changing for me. And I remembered that I documented my sabbatical, shared it with a very small number of people. Hardly anybody saw it. It was a blog that I shared with family and friends. And I am slowly walking through what that experience was like and responding to it in real time to talk about what's changed or what's evolved. So if you have considered taking any time off, or even if you can't take time off, but you've been considering what do you need to do to heal? What do you need to do to rest, to get over this burnout, this exhaustion that you're experiencing, specifically my Gen X sisters? Then this particular series, the revisit of the summer sabbatical, is for you. So hold on and let me pull up the next diary. Hello, everyone. It's Amy coming at you live from Syracuse, New York, East Syracuse to be exact, mom and dad's backyard to be absolutely exact. Just wanted to give you a quick update. Having a nice time here. I'm here for another visit. My dad's family's having a little family reunion this weekend, so I'm here in town to make an appearance there. I was able to have a great lunch today with some of my fellow Bishop Grimes classmates. Great catching up with Sarah, Terry, and Leslie. So I just wanted to share. So we're starting August. So this is the last month of my sabbatical, my summer transformation sabbatical. And so, yes, I do plan on ending it at the end of August. I did have my friend Andrea say, you're going to have to change the name to, rest of the year or second half of the year sabbatical or something like that. But no, my sabbatical will end at the end of August. And then I will be starting to put some more concerted efforts into whatever my next business is evolving into. It is something around the podcast series that I mentioned in a previous video, but that's taking more and more shape as I think about it. But I won't actually start working on it until September. So what do I plan to focus on for August? In addition to the plans that I have a girls' weekend plan with some fabulous college roommates. I have another trip to DC planned to see some great friends there. But in terms of the internal work, I was thinking about this the other day as I was journaling, trying to figure out what was I hoping to accomplish, or there's that word again, like accomplish, but what was I hoping would happen in the summer during this summer transformation sabbatical. And I think what I was hoping would happen would be, first of all, that I would heal. I would definitely that I could get past the depression anxiety phase that I was in, get past the stuck. I was just sort of not a great place. So number one was getting out of that. And number two was to really try to heal past trauma, and get to the root of that, to reconnect with my spirituality in whatever shape that takes, and to really get clear about what my desire, my passion, and my purpose is going forward into this next phase of life. So that's been my whole focus for June and July, and that will continue into August. I think I've made a lot of ground in just relaxing, being in the moment, definitely pulling out of the depression state. So a lot of great things happen there, taking some steps towards reconnecting spiritually and what that means. What do I believe, and how grounded am I in those beliefs and feelings, and how that fits into the world, and just really getting clear on what happens next. So I'll be putting the time into that. It's going to mean some journaling, some meditating, continuing on my personal health journey. I'm having some successes there, and I intend to continue that as well. And then I'm going to get down to some serious work after that. Even though once September hits, I'm still not going to plant roots. I've definitely decided that I'm going to continue in some of my travel, some of my little nomadic current lifestyle. I have trips planned throughout the fall into the winter, and it's definitely clear that whatever I do, whatever work I do, I need to be able to do it from the road. I need to be able to do it remotely. I need to be able to do it while I'm experiencing other things. So that is my goal and my intent right now. So thank you for following my journey thus far, 2/3 of the way through, one more month. And hopefully you'll continue to hear from me after that, but probably in a different way. But hope you all having a great day, and stay cool. Bye. Okay, so a couple of thoughts. I do like that I reconnected with women from past eras of my life, and that started during the sabbatical. Women that I went to high school with, and women that I went to junior high, elementary school, that I knew since we were children. And I started reconnecting with them at this time because I was going back to my hometown, and I was there for periods of time. So that has been really nice. We haven't developed, we're not like super close friends or anything, but we're very enjoyable acquaintances, and I enjoy seeing them when I go back home to visit my parents and my family. So I really, really value that. And these were women that I wasn't necessarily close with in high school, but we just sort of have been connected on, with social media. And you know how, like, when Facebook was at its peak, we were all like looking up pretty much everybody that we ever knew in our life. And then we were Facebook friends with all our former high school classmates and everything. That's what happened. And you started to get to know people in a different way, with a different perspective, etc. And that's what happened in this situation. And I really like that. So in this one, I'm talking about what I'm going to focus on for the last month of my sabbatical. This is day 63 of the sabbatical, and I called it Focus for the last month of sabbatical. So I was sticking to the point that I was allowing myself this 90-day thing, and really, really sticking to that. I find it interesting that, healing is a top priority, but I'm more than 60 days in, and the healing is still happening, and I'm not fully arrived yet. I talk about my upcoming plans. I had a lot of visiting going, planned. And I think for a lot of people, a sabbatical or a rest would require a lot more stillness than what I did in my experience. And I've asked myself why that is. And I think I was longing for connection. I think part of the depression that I had, pandemic, post-pandemic, there was a loneliness, there was a grief involved in where my life was and where I wanted it or didn't want it to be. But there was also a loneliness, and I was longing for connection. And so I think during my sabbatical, I was arranging a lot of time with various people from my life that I care about. Some were closer to me than others. And in some cases, I was reestablishing old connections and old bonds. And in other cases, we were kind of starting new ones in a different way, which was really cool. And it's really sort of set the tone for the relationships and the friendships and the connections that I have now going forward. I also observe that I still look tired in this video, and I don't know if that is just, you know, just part of the aging situation. And I clearly, wasn't using any filter and wasn't really paying attention to lighting and was trying not to care how I look, but it appears that I still look tired. So I wonder if any part of the sabbatical I have a little more rest. I also know when I think back about that time, I remember that as the turning point for me really getting healthy again, physically healthy, getting my energy back. And I lost a good amount of weight. And I think it started here and then just continued into the fall of that year, if I remember correctly. So I think like I kind of got it started, but I didn't really start to see the results for it, because when I see myself in these last few videos, around the 2-month-ish mark, I don't really see the signs of the physical health improvement yet, but I don't know. When I think back, it happened, but I think it might have been like, it might have taken a little bit after that. Interesting that I mentioned that I'm not going to plant roots and that I knew that at this point and that I wanted to continue. And I do vaguely remember scheduling trips into the fall because I believe I scheduled trips to Vermont and Montreal. So I was continuing the nomad thing. Part of it, I think, was my desire for freedom and exploration and adventure. I think part of it was financial too. I I think I was starting to realize that if I don't have a fixed expense for housing, that allows me a lot more flexibility in how I'm living. And I can make choices accordingly to cover my living expenses and my housing expenses in a variety of ways. I think I did not want to commit to rent, or I definitely didn't want to buy anything because I didn't want to use up a big chunk of my savings when I wasn't really sure what I was going to be doing financially. So I think that was part of the motivation at that time to remain nomadic, was to keep my fixed expenses as low as possible and have to have some creative problem solving for how I was going to be handling housing. All right, so that was that diary. This next one is a few days later, day 67, living alone versus living with others. And this is a topic that I have really explored these last 4 years during my current pre-retirement. So let's see what I was thinking about that. Hello there, it's Amy coming at you live from downtown Syracuse, New York. Happy Saturday, everybody. Definitely, I'm here in the fitness center at my brother's apartment building. Obviously, have to take advantage of the proximity of being able to roll out of bed and go right into the fitness room. So glad to start my day that way. So what I'd like to talk about today is what I'm learning about living alone versus living with other people. I've lived alone for a really long time. I had roommates at various times throughout my 20s, but really my last time I lived with someone was with a boyfriend in my very late 20s, heading into 30. And have been living alone ever since because I wanted to and I craved it, and it has been wonderful. There's something about just having full reign over your space and how it's used at various times during the day and night. Obviously, privacy and just being able to, unwind and decompress when I want to, et cetera, et cetera. Especially as a low extrovert on the Myers-Briggs. I'm definitely a low E. I have my extrovert needs more so than I might have thought. Very strong introvert needs. I need to have my alone time. Now, having said that, what I've learned over these last few years, if I'm alone too long, if I don't have enough interaction with people throughout the day, my energy goes down and I can spiral into depression. I do think that has been one of the contributing factors. On the flip side, though, if I'm with people all the time, 24/7, that is also very draining on me in a different way. It causes, just anxiety and angst. That revs up if that goes too long without a retreat. So I need a balance. But the good thing about these last couple of months living with people again is learning how to live with people again. Especially since I'm in a situation of being guest. I'm a guest. I've been a guest for the last couple of months, and for the weeks going forward, trying to be a contributing guest, trying to be as unobtrusive as possible, and trying to carve out, my space and, having my alone time when I need to without feeling like I'm like alienating my hosts or disconnecting from my hosts or whatever. So trying to be mindful of that. I need the interaction of people, but it has definitely helped to learn how to just be mindful of other people more throughout the day, and being courteous and keeping my space in a certain way with other people in mind and, stuff like that. So that has been wonderful. Obviously, it's different depending on where I'm staying. If I'm staying with a friend, if I'm staying with siblings, if I'm staying with my parents, the dynamic changes, of course, and I definitely change in each of those scenarios. But it's also given me the opportunity to reconnect with the people that are most important in my life. So I've had a great time just having more quality time and feeling glad that I'm going to be a little more present in their lives right now. And I can definitely see the space for me with that. And for that, like I can see where I fit into that, which is a good thing. But all of this is informing what's coming up in terms of what's starting to become more and more clear in terms of the home that I'm seeking and what that's going to look like. So I'll share more about that in a separate post. But I just wanted to share just some of my observations about living alone versus living with other people. And there's glorious pros to both. And of course, there's cons to both. But learning how to navigate those dynamics has been fun and challenging and exciting and fulfilling all at the same time. Have a good one, everybody. Hello. Okay. First of all, this was a reminder that the last time that I had a live-in situation, like a permanent live-in situation, was in my late 20s with my boyfriend who passed away. And I don't know if it like really struck me at this time 4 years ago how telling that is, because, obviously that was an extremely traumatic experience for me. And the fact that I haven't permanently lived with someone since then probably should be explored in therapy, I would say. Not necessarily here, but so so that jumped out at me listening and watching this video. I do look healthier in this video, but I think I have it's a good argument for how important lighting is to midlife women and how the huge difference that it can make. Anyway, talking about being a guest. And so this was a really good awareness and learning that I had, because I have shaped my entire nomad approach based on this knowledge that I have of myself, that I need to have some connection time, I need to have time with people, and then I need my alone time. And when I plan out my months and my year, that's exactly how I plan it out. I'll have weeks at a time when I'm staying with someone or living with someone in different circumstances. And then I need to have weeks at a time, preferably months, a month or two, alone in in my own place, whatever that is. And I've really designed my schedule around that for the reasons that I mentioned in this video. So that awareness has led to my planning. I've learned a lot more. It's hard to be, I find it difficult to be a contributing guest. But I work on it all the time. And the reason why I find it hard is because most people don't really want their guest contributing too much. And, for various reasons. So trying to first, get them to let me help them or let me help around the house, and, for one. And, and I'm doing it for them and I'm doing it for myself too, because I want to contribute and I want to have some importance while I'm staying with them. I still work to be unobtrusive, and I've learned that people have different expectations of guests. So there's some people who want you to like be present with them more through the day. And then there's others that are totally fine with you going off and having your private time. It's really hard because I need to go off and have my private time, and I need to try to feel like I'm in my own space as much as I can. I think most of the people who host me would say that I'm a good guest and that I'm a courteous guest. I've had several people tell me that, whether or not they meant it or not, but I keep getting invited back, so that's always a good sign. Also, everybody runs their households differently, very differently, which I have found intriguing and fascinating, just to see different routines and different ways that people do things and different expectations that they have. So that has been really cool, but it's also really challenging to try to like figure out how to fit into the vibe of this particular household. It has been a strain on a couple friendships when I have been a repeated guest, because we never quite completely found our comfort groove for a lot of reasons that I won't get into, but it did put a little bit of a strain on the friendship. But I also think that was a good thing, that we were kind of getting to know each other in a different way, on a different level, and it's forced us to accept each other in a different way, and we're still navigating it. And even as it's challenging, I feel like it's very good for me, because that's what relationships are about, right? Is figuring out, navigating, not just having great times together and being there for each other and sharing and being vulnerable, but also navigating conflict. And so this has kind of opened my eyes to where I really need to improve on that, open my eyes to communication and where my blind spots are. And just, I'm continuously working on it. And this lifestyle has made that necessary to keep doing it, to keep figuring it out. Because one of the downsides of the nomadic lifestyle is it's not, at least the way that I've been doing it, has not been all that conducive to emotional intimacy and really connecting on a super deep level. I like to go deep with people. Like, I like to really like open up my heart and soul to them and have them open up their heart and soul to me and talk. I love deep conversations. I love, picking things, peeling things back, looking at the why and problem solving and dreaming and goal setting, like that. I really love doing that with other people. But if you're not there long term for the day in, day out, there's just certain places that you never really get to, I think. And so I try to find ways to compensate for that. Because basically what happens is, for example, I go and I'll visit a place for 2 months, and it'll be near some people that I really like and some people that I'm really close to, and we will connect and have amazing quality time together. And I go all in, like 150% committed and devoted to those people, to that friendship, to our time together, to our space. Then I'm off to the next place. And sure, we might still connect via text or via social media. It's not the same. It's just not the same. And I also find that what happens is, I think that my friends that are not nomadic, that have me sort of breezing in and out of their life, I think they enjoy it when I'm there, but I'm usually not there long enough for us to work through any like really really tough hardships with each other. And yeah, but I do, like, I always get the feeling when I come to visit somebody that they're finding some relief in our connection, just like I get some relief in the connection with them. But then I'm kind of like moving on until the next time I'm back. And then the next time I'm back, we get really into it and really deep, and then I'm gone. So I see that and I know that. And, there's no way around that right now, unless I was going to stay in one place for a long time and then and really explore the long-term friendships there. And I'm just not there yet. So it's just something to think about. I think those are all the thoughts. I've been taking notes as I listen. So I think that's all the thoughts I had on that one. Let's do one more and see what else I had to say. That was day 67, by the way. Now I'm going to do, 68, the very next day. So let's see. What was I talking about? This one's called Where Will I Live? Hello, everyone. It's Amy coming at you live from downtown Syracuse on the rooftop of Merchant Commons, to be exact, on this slightly breezy afternoon. Thank God the breeze is starting because it's really hot. Just got back from a family gathering, a little family reunion with some family from my father's side. Some people that I've never met before, some that I haven't seen for decades and decades. So that was really nice, and especially nice to hear like stories that my dad was telling that I'd never heard him tell before, and nice to see some pictures and photographs that I'd never seen before. So that was a nice way to spend the afternoon. The visit here this past week up in Syracuse has been fantastic, spending quality time with family, playing disc golf with my brothers and my nephew, checking out food trucks with my family, listening to live music, just a lot of really cool stuff while I was up here. So what I want to talk about is what's coming up for me in terms of where do I want to live. A lot of people are asking me that. I was asked that a few times today. So where are you going to live? What's your plan, etc.? And I don't know yet. I still don't know. My answer right now has been just somewhere where I haven't lived before. So here is what is coming up. So for sure, with what's next for me, in terms of first how I earn my living, my income, no matter what that is. Right now it's freelance contract gigs. It's going to have to be remote, so that I can travel and work from anywhere, visit people, stay as long as I want, travel, stay as long as I want, work from abroad if I want to, etc. So that's going to be a requirement in terms of how I make my living, and in terms of how I pursue my next passion project, which hopefully will eventually be the way that I earn my living. In terms of a place, here's what I am starting to formulate what I want and need. ideally a condo or a townhouse or condo. So with minimal maintenance, personal maintenance involved. Somewhere affordable, mild weather. Ideally not too far from the ocean, ideally. And something walkable. Doesn't have to be a big city or anything like that, but like something with a main street town and a small town feel, but something that I can walk to. Something with some outdoor space, a deck, a balcony, a backyard, a very small backyard. Nearby parks, there needs to be access to nature. And last but not least, something that is attractive to others so that I can rent it for when I want to be gone for periods of time. And I can rent it out, or, Airbnb or some better option than that, or whatever. So those are the things that are coming up. I don't know where that's going to be. I do know that several friends from different parts of my life have mentioned Wilmington, North Carolina, so I'm going to check that out. If you know of a town or a place that comes to mind as you hear me describe what I'm ideally looking for, please let me know. It is going to be a bit of time, though, before I'm able to do this, because I want to buy something. I've been wanting to buy for a while. I rented while I was in California, wanted to buy. It was very expensive, and like what I liked I couldn't afford, and what I could afford I didn't like. It was basically what it came down to out there. So I definitely want to own something. But now that I'm self-employed and going to be self-employed, I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like as far as qualifying for a mortgage. So it might take me some time to figure all that out, have some way to show some recurring revenue streams or something. I don't know. So in the meantime, through the fall up into the holidays, I have a lot of travel planned, a lot of trips. Going to Florida to see my friend Rita, going to Montreal because I've never been there before, with a stop in Lake Placid to say hello to my friend Lynn, and a stop on the way back in Vermont to see my godson and his family and all their babies. And then at some point I want to go over to Lake Erie area, Chicago, and on the way being able to see my my cousin Kate. So lots of travel plans. Oh, and I have a couple of girls' weekends on the books. One at the beach, one in upstate New York. That will be fabulously fun. After the holidays, I want to go to California for about a month or so, visit friends, just be back in California a bit for a while. So I'll do that. And then I'll go visit mom and dad when they're in Myrtle Beach. So I'll probably stay with them for a couple of weeks, whereas I usually only stay with them for, 5 to 7 days when I go to visit them in Myrtle. So I'll stay a little bit longer. And then we'll see from there. I might look at like a roommate situation or something. Very possible. Maybe I'll room with Miss Wendy in DC at some point. Who knows? I don't know. We'll see. So anything could happen at this point. But that is what's coming up for me, and that's what I'm thinking. So if anything comes to mind and you can share some ideas, mild climate, not too far from the ocean, if at all possible, reasonably priced, affordable, walkable to some sort of town, outdoor space, and it could be just a balcony or deck or something, and something that other people would be interested in enough that they might, rent it for something. So before I sign off, I'll show you a little bit of what I'm looking at. Take a little look at downtown Syracuse from up here. So hold on one second. All right, so here's the roof deck up here at my brother's apartment building, and here is a good chunk of downtown Syracuse. University is over there. You can see the dome. There's the dome. You can see the formerly known as the Money Towers. It's a beautiful view from up here, and lots of pretty old architecture. I don't know if that you can see this way because I'm facing into the sun. But great view, great place to watch the sunset. Hope you are all having a wonderful weekend and getting ready for a fabulous week. Take care. Bye. Okay. So in the beginning, when I was talking about some of the stuff that I was doing, it was just nostalgia, bringing back memories of that summer, and all those things were so fun. It was so great, so good to go to my dad's family reunion. All those things were good. One of the first things I thought of when I was watching this video was, wait, those earrings, whatever happened to those earrings? Where are they? Which is one of the challenges of the nomad experience. They're probably somewhere in my storage unit as I shift and focus and pack and repack and shuffle. Sometimes it gets really, really difficult to remember where things are and where I've put things. I've kind of gotten down to a system and a method, but every once in a while I think of something and I'm like, where is that? But to be honest, there's only like 2 or 3 possible places where my earrings could be. So anyway, I did keep working remote, and I have worked from abroad, and I do work from anywhere. So I was speaking a lot of that into existence. What I talked about in terms of the type of home that I wanted is still the type of home that I wanted. I want it to be a home base and be free enough to be able to continue to travel and explore. So I'm still looking for suggestions of places that fit those criteria. Inexpensive, mild climate, walkable, near the ocean if possible, some sort of outdoor space, condo or townhouse. Let me know if you've got any recommendations of places that I should check out, because I'm still curious about that. It's good that I knew that it was going to take me a while. I don't know that I knew that it was this could be like 4 years later and I'd still be living nomadically. So that's interesting. And interesting that I talked about it needing to be attractive to others to be able to like rent it out for Airbnb. That's not necessarily a requirement for me anymore. So open to your suggestions. So that was interesting to hear that what I was thinking about in terms of a home is still in my heart. So let's manifest that. Let's get, I spoke it out there. Obviously it's been on my heart for a long time. So let's make that happen. So interesting few days of video diaries. Please share with me your thoughts, what hits you, what you can relate to. I've got a lot of things going on in the Gen X Big Sister world. Tomorrow, I don't know when I'm going to post this video. I'm recording it on Saturday, July 11th. And tomorrow, Sunday, we have our monthly Gen X coffee chat, virtual coffee chat. Those sessions have been really fun and wonderful, getting together with women every month. Once a month, we do that. And I do that free of charge. So you can go to genxwomencoffeechat.com to get on the invite list and the reminder list for that. I also have, as a result of the coffee chat being popular, a lot of women wanted the calls to go longer, have them more often, and have a more connected, recurring group of women that they can connect with in between calls. So I have the Gen X Women Inner Circle. You can go to genxwomeninnercircle.com. We just had I have a couple of seats open in our Gen X Women Inner Circle. So check it out if you care to join us. And then for those of you who are in the New York or New Jersey area, I am hosting a brunch at the end of this month, Sunday, July 26th, 1 o'clock Eastern Time in Morristown, New Jersey. If you are accessible to there, check out genxwomenmeetup.com for details about that get together. And if I can get that to, if I can generate interest there, as I travel around nomadically, I will do similar brunches where I am or wherever I'm going and visiting. So I think it might be a nice way to facilitate some real world connections, which I think a lot of us are desiring. I'm going to put the links to all that in the description to this video. But thank you for coming along on this ride with me. Enjoy my revisiting the summer sabbatical. And I want to help you get the break that you deserve. My name is Amy Palmer. I am your Gen X Big Sister, signing out.